Hey everybody, welcome back to The Car Guy on PeoriaLife.com. By the way, as we're going through this, please remember that if you ever have any questions for The Car Guy, Brett Beechler, you can send them in either to Beechler's website, which is what?
Beechlers.com.
That's pretty simple.
Very simple.
Or his Facebook page, or just stop into Beechler's at the corner of War Memorial and University in Peoria, and they'll talk to you personally.
Yes.
So, and you can meet him and get an autographed copy of his
Yes,
book. So
yes,
anyway,
yes.
I'm Greg McCoy, and this is Brett Beechler, and we're going to talk a little bit about some things that you should not be doing to your vehicle.
Yes.
So we've talked about this before,
Yeah, we've talked about it before, once or twice.
but how many vehicles in a year you guys service? Any idea?
Approximately 6,500 to 7,000.
60, wow, 7,000 cars.
Yeah, a lot.
A lot.
We do a lot.
And so you see a lot of things that repeat themselves over and over again.
Yes. Yes.
And
There's a lot
that's
of,
probably what we're going to talk about today a little bit.
yes. Sometimes I sound like a broken record. I feel like repeating myself, but as you mentioned, it's one person at a time, trying to educate people. And
That's right.
so
How do you change the world? One person at a time.
one person at a time. That's exactly right. So one of the things that drives this, and the title of this is "Stop Doing These Services to Your Vehicle," basically. One of the things that drives this is we average approximately 85 to 95 new customers a month coming into our facility. Never been to Beechlers before, coming in. Most of them referred to us, Google search, a lot of those things that go on. One of the things we ask for when customers come in is, hey, either this time or next time, bring in all your history because we want to go through it. Very detailed. We're detailed like this, and my guys get a little frustrated once in a while just going through all this type of information. But I think it's good for the customer long term to find out what they've done, what they haven't done, because we don't want to do services on vehicles that have been done. We don't want to be redundant, spend somebody's money that doesn't need to be spent. So what we do is we bring this pile of paperwork in, and some of it's Greek to the customer, and a lot of the stuff we fly through pretty fast because we know what we're looking for. But for years this has taken place. It's gotten better, but it ebbs and flows. Where we're going through a customer's history, and we're like, "Oh boy, you shouldn't have done that." And I don't say it condescendingly. I say it in an educational way of, "Hey, let me show you how I can save you some money." And so we go through this. We document what they've done. We put it in our system. Take the items that have already been done off the to-do list, all that, and then I turn around the piece of paper and I show the customer, okay, let me show you some things on here that I want to encourage you not to do again, because they're what I call it in my book, I call it in my email blogs, everything that I do, I call it a wallet flush. And it is essentially separating a person, their money from their wallet on services that don't need to be done to their car. It happens every day in our industry. And that, it's one of the things I tell my guys, we are not the least expensive guys in town. We're up there with dealerships in terms of hourly rate. I'll just say it frankly. But I'm not selling ice to an Eskimo. Okay, we're not selling these wallet flushes to customers, and that's how I'm beating the competition. Is I don't have to do that kind of stuff with servicing 6,500, 7,000 cars a year and 85 to 95 new customers a month. And that is not a boastful statement. That is the whole scope of the industry has changed because we're changing oil, not 3,000 miles, but 5, 6, 7, 8,000 miles. So what does that do? So you say before, Greg, you change your oil 4 times a year. You did 12,000 miles a year. You change it 4 times a year. Now you use Mobil 1 in your car and you drive 12,000 miles a year. You're going to see me about 1.2 times a year. That's it. And the scope of the business and what has gone on is car count has come down tremendously. So these businesses are scrambling to go, okay, we need more revenue. And we're sitting there going, we just need more customers. We just need to treat people right, get more customers. These other businesses are not having the increased car count that we're having, or I should say customer count that we're having. So they're going, okay, we're going to do fuel injection cleaning. We're going to do nitrogen in tires. We're going to do power steering flushes, brake fluid flushes. And this is how we get our revenue back.
Kind of like at a restaurant when they try to upsell you,
It's exactly what's going on.
sell you more stuff.
That's exactly what's going on. So, but the restaurant could be legitimate if the person wants the food, but stuff is not legitimate in the cars that goes into it. So I'll start with the top of my list. I want to keep this very simple. The top of the list that we see often other places are doing is called a fuel injection cleaning, or sometimes they call it a fuel induction cleaning because that's a much more valued word. Okay, so I'm going to get a little passionate about this because we're still seeing this, and it's still going on, and I still don't understand why. I understand it's one person at a time, but I want people to save their money because there's a lot of other things in life you can spend your money on. You and I know that, Greg. We've talked about this extensively. So fuel injection cleaning, fuel induction cleaning is $99 to $149 a pop every time somebody puts it through your car. So the standard tests I show people is I say, hey, let's look through your owner's manual. Let's see if it says to do that. Because the engineers of the car are pretty smart guys. I know a lot of mechanical engineers, and they're pretty brilliant individuals. And the guys who put these cars together don't have an ulterior motive for you to buy another car in 100,000 miles and have it break down and die on the side of the road and have you go buy another new car. That's not their MO. That's not what they're doing. Cars are made very well, and we've talked about this. Okay, so fuel injection cleaning. I have yet to come across a car in the last 10 years, and in their owner's manual says to do a fuel injection cleaning on a regular basis. Haven't seen it. Haven't been able to, have somebody prove me wrong on the situation. It is a pure and simple, high gross profit, wallet flush that people do in their cars. It doesn't fix anything. The reason behind it, and what they'll try to do is sell you on, is it helps your engine perform better, and your fuel injectors in the car will do much better in the car, and flat out you'll get better performance. That's not true. If you have a fuel injector that's failing, you replace it. But guess the last time I saw a fuel injector fail? I bet it was maybe a year and a half ago that we replaced a fuel injector in a car. No.
How much does that cost?
Typical fuel injector is probably in the range of $200 to $300 for a fuel injector. So there's wallet flush number one. Save your money. Okay. When a place asks you to do a fuel injection cleaning, say politely, decline. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it, but no, I'm good today. Number two, and we're starting to see this go away because it's not as high a gross profit. This is more of a customer retention tool that's out there. But nitrogen in tires. You and I breathe 78% nitrogen. Okay. They can only guarantee up to 95 to 96% nitrogen in tires. It is truly and simply a wallet flush. I looked into selling it myself. I did all the research on it. I'm like, okay, this could be a moneymaker, and it could help slow the leaks down in tires, because that's one of the things they do is they sell people on, hey, the molecules are bigger and it'll slow the air loss out of your tire. Well, if you have air loss in your tire, you need to get it fixed, repaired, corrected, whatever terminology you want to use. The only place you have air loss, and one of the things they're addressing, is the bead leaks where the tire meets the rim. On alloy rims, there's an oxidation that occurs on the rim over time, and what it does, it in a microscopic way separates the tire from the rim, and it allows air to seep out of that. Okay, that's where a lot of our air losses come from. What you do to correct it: take the wheel off, take the tire off, remove the corrosion, put a sealer on it, put it all back together. That corrects it. Now, do alloy rims stop oxidizing? No, they never stop oxidizing. It's kind of like the old steel rims. I don't know if you remember those rims back in the Back in the day when we had steel rims, and there still are some cars out there with steel rims. What happened with the steel rims is they actually rusted, and the paint came off of the steel rims, and they had the same exact leaks, so we'd sand the rims down and repaint them. I remember doing them as a kid. You don't see that too much anymore. The alloy rims have taken place of it. Okay, so nitrogen tires. The only place it's beneficial is on race car tires, where they buy big pure nitrogen tanks, and they put 100% pure nitrogen in their tires. We can't afford that. It's not cost beneficial to you and I and everybody out there to go out and put pure nitrogen in our tires. Absolutely unnecessary. The other place is hydraulic lines and jets. Period. Otherwise, don't spend your money. It's only $20. I know, I get it. It's not a lot of money, but all this adds up. Period. Okay? Number three, power steering and brake fluid exchanges. Power steering flushes on average cost about $89 to $109. Not a huge amount of money, but everything adds up. I've seen 2 vehicles in the last 10 years that require power steering flushes, and this is not in the recent years. There was a model of Subaru that requires power steering flushes, and there was a model of a Dodge truck that required power steering flushes. Otherwise, all those other hundreds of models out there don't require power steering flushes.
Not all Dodge trucks, just that one model?
No, it's one particular model of a Dodge truck.
I have a Dodge truck.
You have a Dodge truck, but I don't believe yours calls for a power steering flush. We've reviewed the maintenance on it. It does not call for it. Okay? Again, not a huge amount of money. But here we go, $100 here, $20 there, $150 there, and next thing you know, that cost per mile inches up every year of what you have to expend on your car. So kindly, if they offer one of these two services, decline, say no thanks. Now, brake fluid is the second one we're talking about. We see this a little bit more. Honda's, Acura's believe in brake fluid exchanges. Subaru engineers believe in brake fluid exchanges. There are some GM models that have, dare I say, they're on European chassis. They want their brake fluid exchanged also. Usually it's on a time basis because of moisture content that can develop inside the brake systems. Usually I see 2 to 3 years on brake fluids. But most domestic cars and most Asian cars, you don't flush the brake fluid on them. Okay? And again, $99 to $109. I've seen them $119 for European cars, legitimately. $100 here, $100 there, and there you go. Okay? The next one. I think this is pretty much going away, and I think we've been successful at driving this concept out that you don't have to change your oil every 3,000 miles. Engine technology, oil technology has improved to the point where you absolutely, it's overkill. And you think about the grand scheme, the scope of everything, and you're changing oil on millions of cars throughout our country every 3,000 miles, and you stretch it out to 5 legitimately and 6 legitimately, and how much oil we actually can reduce the consumption by, it's an enormous number that is out there. So oil life indicators are in pretty much every car out there. That's the Bible. But let me tell you the key. There's an oil life indicator and there's an oil level indicator. The two have nothing to do with themselves. Okay? It's still key that you check your oil level. The owner's manual says to check it every time you get gas. Most people don't do that, so I encourage people to check your oil level once a month. Unless you're driving 3,000 miles a month, then you need to check it more often.
Now, what about, speaking of oil changes and frequency and so forth, what about an elderly person that just doesn't drive much?
Yeah, we see them often.
Only drives maybe 3, 4, 5,000 miles a year.
That's a great question. We refer to owner's manuals, okay, when this happens, and it happens often. Most owner's manuals say anywhere between 6 to 12 months, not to exceed 12 months. The reason why they want it changed, and they may have put 1,500 miles on it in a year, is moisture content inside the engine crankcase. Period. That's the only reason why they want it changed. And that to me, I can understand it from a scientific standpoint. I can totally understand. Okay, I get it. You want the moisture out of the engine because, quite frankly, it's not necessarily good for an engine to sit for a long period of time and let the moisture sit in it over a period of time. So we always tell our elderly customers 6 to 12 months.
Plus, for those customers, they tend to not take long road trips or anything else.
Correct.
Most of their mileage, even though they might drive 2,000 miles a year, most of it is from their house to the grocery store,
Right.
or their house to church, or
Yes.
whatever, 2 miles, and,
Yes.
and then they're turning the engine
So
off.
one to 2 miles. That's exactly right. So,
Yeah.
our stickers are set at 5,000 miles in our conventional mobile oil. Our mobile one, we set the sticker at 10,000 miles. But the Bible, the vehicle, how long you can take your oil change, if you got an oil life indicator, you can trust it.
So what does that indicator do for the elderly person? Can they trust it, or do they need to say December 1st every year I'm going to get my oil changed?
You're right. They can trust it, but their owner's manual specifies time or mileage, whichever comes first, and the time will trump the mileage. Period.
On the indicator?
On the indicator, time will trump the indicator. Yes, they will say inside your owner's manual.
Well, what I mean is, will the indicator, the
Tell
computer
them-
algorithm pick that up that they've
Not every
it's been a year?
car does that.
Okay.
No, not every car does that. So you'll
That's
need
my
to-
point. So if
Yes.
somebody's in that situation, they need to understand that looking at the oil indicator saying 60%, if
That's
it's been a
correct.
year,
That's correct.
you need to get in and get the oil
That's
changed.
absolutely correct. So, next one, air filter replacement. If you go into a place and they're replacing an air filter every other oil change, then there's some legitimacy problems. The typical test is to put a fluorescent light behind your air filter. If you cannot see the light, you replace the air filter. It's that simple. Most air filters last 30, 40, 50,000 miles unless you're off-roading.
Mhm.
So that's the simple part about air filters. So last but not least, in the last week, I've had 2 estimates come into my desk. Okay. Both of these customers didn't quite trust what was going on the estimating process on the other location. I'll never give away names. First one came in.
But it rhymes with?
No, I'm not even going to say that. The first one came in with a $5,900 estimate. Okay. And they said it needed this, and that. Well, we went ahead and inspected the vehicle, and the things that they said it needed, and I've mentioned this grading system quite some time. We've been doing this for years. We grade on a system of 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so 3 is severe, 2's we monitor pretty closely, 1's a complete infant stage, and we tell the customer don't spend any money. So approximately $5,000 worth of this estimate was in the 1 or below stage, where we said don't even worry about it. Absolutely don't even worry about it. So our estimate was $946. Okay. The second one that came in was a $2,000 estimate, not quite as dramatic. It was a $2,000 estimate. Again, we graded everything, and our estimate ended up coming back at $1,300. My point being is, just be careful out there, because there's a little bit of overzealousy that goes on in our industry. They're quick to convict. Very, very tiny leaks, for example. Very, very minor noises, things of that nature. They're very quick to convict that. So just be careful, be aware when you're out there, getting these estimates. That's why we charge accordingly for doing evaluations, because we get often the question asked, hey, do you do free estimates? No, it's kind of like going to a doctor and getting things looked at on yourself. You don't go to a doctor and get free estimates there. We're in the professional business, but when you have savings of this, of $5,000 and $700, to me, I stand tall and I go, yep, I don't have any problem charging accordingly for the estimate, because I don't have skin in the game that I have to sell something to make up for that time. So, but just some of the topics on what not to do to your car. I'm trying to teach everybody, educate everybody to stop doing these things, because there are things that you want to allocate your money to other places in your life. So
Great.
These are the things you don't have to do on vehicles.
Great.
Okay.
Good information.
Great information.
Thanks.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right.
My pleasure.
Well, once again, we're out of time. So thanks everybody for joining us on The Car Guy, PeoriaLife.com. We look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.